All right, so quiz number 6, review. This is having to do with perpendicular lines. This is having to do with parallel lines sometimes. And then we're going to do graphs where you shade above and below, whether the lines are dashed or solid. And then eventually we're going to do a linear regression where you're going to get a chart. You're not going to have to use Desmos for the linear regression. They're basically going to give you the equation. So you normally use Desmos to find the equation. They're going to give it to you, okay? So don't worry about that. But you're still going to do like questions 5 and 6. Remember 5 and 6 from the homework from that? How they would say like, okay, you have your equation. What if you sold this many cans? What was the temperature? Or if the temperature was this much, how many cans did you sell? They're going to ask you stuff like that, those two types of questions. I don't think it has to do with cans, though, but we'll get to it right now. So here we go. First part of the first two questions they're going to ask you is, are these lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Notice I'm using shorthand for it. That way we can write a little faster. Okay. Are these lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? All right. So I'm going to give you two problems here. Okay. And then we'll move on, because these don't normally take very long. Let's say you had something like this, and maybe something like this. So in order to find out if lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither, you have to know their slopes, right? Well, what's the slope of the first equation? Because it's already written for us. What is it? All right, negative 2 over 3. Okay, so we know the slope of the first equation is negative 2 over 3. But I don't know the slope of the second equation. So I have to solve for it by solving for y. Okay, so let's move the 2x over here. Subtract 2x on both sides. That's going to give me 3y equals negative 2x plus 21. Okay, and then I have to get rid of the 3, right? So I'm going to divide everything by 3. So y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 7. Okay, what's the slope on this one? Negative 2/3. All right, so the slope of my first equation is negative 2/3. The slope of my second equation is negative 2/3. What are these slopes? Parallel. They're parallel, right? Because they're identical. Parallel lines. Identical. Okay? So I'm going to put parallel. Okay, so we'll put same slopes. Are we okay with that one? So if they're the same, we got parallel lines. Okay? Let's try one more, and then we'll move on. Let's try this. So none of these are solved for y. We can solve for them. Okay? So the first one, to solve for y, I'm going to have to move that 2x. Okay, so minus 2x on both sides. Minus 2x, so I get y equal to negative 2x plus 4. Now I solved it for y, so that's perfect. What is my slope? Negative 2 over 1, right? Or just negative 2, but either way. Okay, same thing. Okay? Now let's solve the other one for y. So we'll move the x first. So negative 2y is equal to negative x plus 6. And then I have to divide everything by negative 2. So divide everything by negative 2. So y is equal to, this is 1/2 x minus 3. I divided everything by -2, every term, and that's what I get. So what's the slope here? 1/2. So one of my slopes is a -2/1. The other slope is a positive 1/2. Are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither? These are perpendicular. Right? Flip and switch. I'm going to put that right here. Okay, flip the slope and switch the sign. Okay? So if the slopes are flipped and switched, then that means you have perpendicular slopes. Anything else would be neither. So if one of the slopes was -2, the other one was a 1/3, they're not flipped and switched. They're not the same, so it's a neither. Okay? So hopefully that's not your alarm to get up. Whatever that is, you can go get it. Don't worry. Does anybody know? Yeah, don't worry about it. Sometimes it happens. Yeah, my daughter's alarm goes off at 11. I'm like, that's way too late to get up in the mornings. That's the afternoon already. So that isn't hers. That's somebody else's. That's such a distinguishable alarm sound. Like anytime I hear that, I know it's an Apple. Like for sure. The Androids have a different one. They have one that sounds like you're in the Caribbean. Have you guys heard that one? Like dun 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 dun. You're like, oh, that's an Android. And then that one, you know it's an Apple. All right. So next one. So write the slope. I'm sorry. Well, I guess I could write that. Write the slope-intercept form of a line that goes through, we're only doing one of these, okay? That goes through, let's say, 2, 3, and is perpendicular. Notice I'm going to write it the way your test is going to put it, okay? Perp. It's going to say perp. And is perpendicular to y equal to, let's say, negative 3/4 x. No, let me do 2/5. 2/5 x plus 1. So write the slope-intercept form. In other words, write the equation of a line. Y equals mx plus b, right? Write the equation of a line that goes through 2, 3. So it's going to have to pass through a point, 2, 3. And it has to be perpendicular to that line right there. Okay, that's not my answer, by the way. Okay, that's the line that I'm using as a reference. Okay, and they say it has to be perpendicular to that line. So what's the slope of this line right here?
-2/1.
So what's the perpendicular slope then?
The reciprocal.
All right, the reciprocal and switch, right? So 5/2, as you guys said. So this is what I want to use right here. I want to use that. That's not my answer, but I need to use that. Okay? So remember that. Okay, now I know my slope is 5/2. They want me to write an equation in slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b. Well, I know m. I got to solve for b. Do I know x and y? Yeah, I do. What's x and y? 2 and 3. They gave it to me. Guys, they're giving you everything you need. You just got to look for it, right? So 2 is x and 3 is y. So here we go. 3 equal to m, which is 5/2 times 2 plus b. Now, 5/2 times 2 is 5, so 3 equals to 5 plus b. And if I get that 5 and throw it over to the other side, it becomes a -5, so I'm going to subtract it here. This becomes -2 equals to b. So look, I have my b value, my m value, okay? All I got to do is use that to write my equation, okay? So I'll put it in green here. Y equals to mx plus b. Let's just fill in what I need. M is 5 over 2x, and b is negative 2, and I'm done. Are we okay with that problem? There's going to be two of them like that. So there's two of the ones I did in the beginning. There's two of these types. And then they're going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4 graphing, okay? But I'm gonna do one of each, okay? Maybe. I think I can. So I'm gonna do one of each. One that's already solved for you. So y is greater than or less than or whatever. And then one that we have to solve, okay? And then we'll stop there and then we'll move on to the other stuff. So there's a lot of little topics on this quiz. They're all related, but there's a lot of little topics. So we're going to put, what are the instructions? Sketch the graph of the inequality. So sketch the graph for the inequality. And remember, we're doing one that most people would consider the easy one, okay? And then we're going to do one where they consider it to be a little tougher because we do have to solve for y. So here's number one. All right. So an easier one. We'll say y greater than 2/3 x minus 3. So let me draw a graph. So this is a 4x4 graph. I don't know how big they are on your test. They might be 6x6, but this one's 4x4. So remember, guys, this is as easy as it can get in a sense. I mean, I guess I can make the equation easier, but for what you guys need to know how to do, this is as easy as we can get it. You didn't have to solve for anything. It was already done for us, okay? So now you just got to remember your y equals mx plus b, right? Your b value is where you begin on the y-axis, right? And then your m tells you how to move. So what is my b value here? Negative 3, right? So I'm just going to write it right here to the side. You guys don't have to do this on your test. I'm just going to write it there. What's my m value? 2/3. That means I begin at negative 3. So I'm going to go to negative 3 on the y-axis, and I'm going to put a dot right there. Okay? And then I'm going to move from that point according to my slope. Okay? My slope is 2/3. It's positive. That means I got to go up and to the right. Okay? Up twice, 3 times over. So up twice, 3 times over is right here. Now, before you jump at drawing a line, remember, this is what makes these a little tougher. You got to ask yourself, what kind of line, and then where do I shade? So this says greater than. So what kind of line is it, dashed or solid? This is a dashed line, right? So good. So we're going to draw a dashed line. And then it says greater than. So is it above or below that I'm shading? Above. So here we go. So it'll take me a little while just to do this, but just give me a little bit. We're just going to color it in. And there you go. Okay, it takes a little bit of time to do that, but that's it. I mean, these are relatively easy. You just got to know the rules, right? You're either going to make a dashed line, solid line, or it's going to be shaded above or below. Look at that information. Remember, less than, or equal to is shading below. Greater than, or equal to shading above. Okay? So this is one that you would consider, I mean, it's an easier type of problem like this. The harder ones, it's not that they're more difficult to do in terms of the answers. Actually, what did I write right here? Sorry, 1, 2. This should have been number 3. This should have been 4. Sorry about that. And this would be 5. So maybe they're going to give us something like this. Negative 2x plus 4y let's say less than or equal to 1. No, that's not going to be nice. 8. So the only difference between this one and the other one is you got to solve for y. But once you do that, the rest is the same. Okay? So to solve for y, let's get that minus 2x and let's throw it over to the other side. We're going to add 2x to both sides. So 4y less than or equal to 2x plus 8. And then at this point, we're going to get y by itself. So divide everything by 4. So y is less than or equal to 1/2 x plus 2. And once I do that, then the rest is supposed to be kind of on the easier side. So let's do that. Hopefully it is on the easier side. So I'm going to do another 4 by 4. They just seem to look small enough. They're large enough to create clean graphs, but small enough not to take too much room. What's my y-intercept? 2, thank you. What is my slope? 1/2. Remember, you guys don't have to write that if you don't want to. It's okay. I'm just leaving it there for references, okay? So remember, you begin at 2 on the y-axis. So I'm going to go to 2 on the y-axis. There it is. And according to my slope, I'm supposed to go up once, twice to the right. So right here, solid or dashed line? This one should be solid, right? Above or below? Below, right? Less than or equal to, that's below. Remember to make sure you guys memorize that stuff, okay? Because that isn't like a terribly difficult thing to memorize, but it is super important for graphing these things right, okay? The shading is always easier because, again, if it says less, then just think down. If you see greater, think up, okay? But it's the lines, like if it says less or greater, then it's only dashed. If it's less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, then it's solid, okay? So, are we okay so far? Any questions on anything? The next question that I'm going to show you is probably like the easiest type of question that there's going to be. There's 2 of them. It's the ones where you check if there's solutions. So, is the point, let's say -1, 3, a solution to the inequality? So this would be number 6. And I'm only doing one. Let's say x plus 3y is less than 8. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up. What am I supposed to do? Just plug them in, right? And if it comes out true, it's a solution. If it's false, it's not. That's all there is to it. You don't have to do anything special. This is why I say these are the easier ones from the quiz. After that, I think we just have to talk about the linear regression problem, and then that's it. So here we go. -1. I don't know if you want to put in a parenthesis. It's up to you. I'm just going to put in a parenthesis. Plus 3 times 3 is less than 8. Okay? Well, -1 plus 9 is less than 8, which gives me 8 is less than 8. Is that true or false? That's false. 8 is not less than 8. 8 is equal to 8. Now, if that would have been 8 is less than or equal to 8, then yeah, true. But this just says less than. So this is false. I'm going to put not a solution. You guys can put false. You can put no. Anything is, as long as you basically tell me the main idea, it's not. Okay? So there's 2 of those questions. And then at the very end, I think we're at the very end. Let me double check. Yeah. So at the very end, and I'm not going to do everything they do, but I'm going to kind of write this out really quick. Linear regression. And I'm going to tell you right here, practice numbers 5 and 6 from homework. And right now we're going to do something, okay? Don't worry. Right now we'll do something as an example. But I'm going to tell you, if you want more problems to practice, look at 5 and 6 from your homework. That's what you're going to look at. Look at examples 5 and 6 from my notes that I recorded. That's going to be more examples of this. And then you can look at what we did today. Okay? But here's the reason why I'm saying that mine is going to look a little different right now. Because on your quiz, it's going to say, here is a table that represents this data, whatever it happens to be. Okay, right now we're going to make something up. But whatever it happens, they're going to give you a table. Okay, heck, let me use what they're going to use. Height and weight. Height and weight. Height will be X, weight will be Y. I'm going to put that here. I'm giving you some information about the test here. This will be your X value. Weight will be your Y value. Okay? So they're going to basically give that to you. And they're going to give you a table. All right? Now, normally on that table, you guys are supposed to go to Desmos and put all the information in and then use that little code to make it write your slope and intercept. And then you're supposed to write your equation. Remember how you did that for homework? They're skipping all that. And they're going to say, there's another part. And it says, this is the equation we got. Okay? So they're not even going to make you go to Desmos. So I'm going to give you an equation. I'm going to say that this is the equation that we got that references weight with height. Oops, I'm sorry. Let's say minus 120. Okay? So this is the equation that we got that references weight and height. Then they're going to say, okay, here are your two questions. Okay? So this will be number 7 and number 8. So number 7. How much do you weigh if you are, let's say, 6 feet tall? According to this equation, how much do you weigh if your height is 6 feet tall? Which letter represents height? X. X. According to this problem, X, right? And I know that because of the chart, the table. The one on the left is your X, the one on the right is your Y. So look at your chart, okay? So they're telling me X is 6. All I got to do is plug it in and solve. So here we go. Y equal to 40 times 6 minus 120. Y is equal to 240 minus 120. So Y is equal to 120. Now, if you're 6 feet tall and weigh 120, you're probably dead. Maybe. No, but you're getting close to it. You're very skeletal. Okay. The average weight for a 6 foot tall person is supposed to be about 177, they say. That's like what the doctors want. Now, that's actually a little bit extreme. Because once a 6 foot person hits about 200 pounds, they start to look a little too skinny. Okay. Anyway, that's your answer. First one. And the first one I think is going to be the easier one of the two. Okay? So 120 pounds. Here's the other question they're going to ask. Oh, yeah, I saw it and I did not write it. Thank you. If you weigh 150 pounds, how tall are you? If you weigh 150 pounds, how tall are you? Now remember, the formula is y equals 40x minus 120. Okay? So I'll write that down right now. But what did they give me here? X or Y?
Y.
They gave me Y. Okay? 150 is weight. So that's my Y value. Okay? So when I write my equation, y equal to 40x minus 120. I'm just rewriting it so we can see it. I'm going to put the 150 right there. And my job is to solve for x. Okay? So I'm going to add 120 to both sides. So I got 270 is equal to 40x. And then to solve for x, I need to divide both sides by 40. So x is equal to 27 over 4. You can cancel out the zeros. That's like dividing by 10. That does not divide evenly. So what is that? 7. It's 6. 6 would give me 24 and 3/4. So 6.75 feet. You guys will have a calculator, so don't worry. And this is what you guys have on your quiz.